Flowers reporting to you live from the WCAE News Broadcast Center. We are off to an amazing start this year, and we're so excited to see what else is in store.
That's right, Essence. With STEM, PBL, school gardens, with award problem solving, hands-on learning, and excellent teachers, we are destined for greatness.
The mission of Cleveland Avenue Elementary School is to provide a supportive learning environment which fosters intellectual, social-emotional, and creative growth in order to prepare every student for college and career. The vision of Cleveland Avenue is for us to become a high-performing STEM school where teaching and learning are connected to real-world experiences and every child is nurtured in a caring culture of trust and collaboration while being challenged to reach their highest potential.
In the studio, we have some of our CAE scholars with the morning announcement. Take it away, scholars!
Good morning, faculty, staff, and students. We represent Ms. Dixon, 3rd grade class. Would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, school pledge, and school rules?
Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. School pledge. Today I will do my best to be the best. I will listen, I will follow directions, I will be honest, I will respect the rights of others. I can learn, I will learn. School rules, enter the building quietly. Walk on the right side of the hall single file. Talking in the hall is not allowed. No playing in the restroom. You should not carry a personal conversation in the cafeteria serving line. You may talk softly at lunch table. No swearing to your leaders are suggested at any time. You may not push or play at the water fountain. You must have a hall pass all the time to be in the hallway. Boys must take hats off while in the building. You should not talk while the announcements are being made up in the com. Thank you. You may be seated.
The character word for the week is compassion, and it means tenderness.
Our social and emotional core competence of the week is identifying anger. Everyone feels angry sometimes, but hurting other people's feelings or body is not okay. Please pause for the next 40 seconds to reflect on our social and emotional positive behavior that we should display.
Cleveland Avenue's poem of the month is You. You are the person who has to decide whether you do it or toss it aside. You are the person who makes up your mind whether you lead or linger behind. Whether you try for a goal that is far or be contented to stay where you are. Take it or leave it. It's something to do. Just take it all over. It's all up to you. This has been Jeremy Screedy,
Omari Johnson,
Atiana Hariandi,
Antonio Stone, and Zariah Cow.
Have a great day of teaching and learning!
Did you know that most of today's calculators are more powerful than the world's first computer?
How do we get around from place to place without having to walk everywhere? How can we communicate with people who live far away? These were problems that people struggled with for a long time. Until recently, before there were things like cars and phones and computers. And you know who solved those problems? Engineers. But do you know what an The short answer is that an engineer is someone who wants to know how and why things work. Now, I want to know how and why things work, but does that make me an engineer? Not quite. Besides being naturally curious, an engineer is a person who designs and builds things, like machines or systems or structures that help solve a specific problem. There's more than just one type of engineer, too. But no matter what type of engineer someone is, they have to ask themselves 3 very important questions when they're working. Number 1, what is the problem that needs to be solved? And number 2, who has the problem that needs to be solved? And most importantly, number 3, why is this problem important to solve? Let's take a look at some examples. A really famous example of engineering is the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco, California. I mentioned that there are different kinds of engineers, and a civil engineer is someone who designs and constructs buildings, roads, and bridges. For the person who designed the Golden Gate Bridge, what was the problem that they needed to solve? People couldn't travel in or out of San Francisco, which is surrounded on most sides by water, without a boat. Who had the problem? Residents of San Francisco mostly, but really anybody traveling in the area. And why was the problem important to solve? Well, you didn't want a whole bunch of San Francisco residents trapped in San Francisco forever, even if it is a super cool city. Plus, you wanted people outside of San Francisco to be able to travel to the city easily if they needed to. So the Golden Gate Bridge was engineered as a solution to this problem. In addition to civil engineers, there are also mechanical, electrical, chemical, computer, nuclear, and software engineers, and the list goes on. Let's talk about what some of the other types of engineers do. First up, electrical engineers. Electrical engineers study electricity. They design electrical systems like circuits and computer chips. Think of an electrical object that you use pretty regularly. How about your microwave? What problem was the microwave a solution to? Cold food, right? You have an electrical engineer to thank for the ability to reheat that leftover pizza you just had for lunch. But while you might not have heard of Joseph Strauss or Percy Spencer, the engineers responsible for the Golden Gate Bridge and the microwave respectively, you've probably heard of Henry Ford. As in Ford cars? Henry Ford was a mechanical engineer, or someone working in the manufacturing industry, making mechanical things like tools, engines, and machines. Machines like cars. Ford didn't invent the automobile, but his Ford Motor Company made a lot of them. His Model T car was famous for being affordable for plenty of Americans. Ford saw that lots of people who wanted to drive cars just couldn't, because they couldn't afford the pricey vehicles that were for sale. So he engineered a cheaper model as a solution to this problem. His fellow engineers started to do the same, and now, well, cars are everywhere. Henry Ford's not the only big-name engineer. A famous engineer around today is Marissa Mayer. Mayer is the president of the internet company Yahoo, and is also a software engineer. Software engineers work on computers and other products that use software to write programs to make them faster and able to do more things. No matter what kind of engineer someone is, their job at its most basic level is problem solving. Each engineer just specializes in solving certain kinds of problems. While it might seem like there are too many types of engineers to keep track of, just wait 15 years, or 50, or 100, because we'll probably have a ton of different types to add to the list by then. Think about it. Over 100 years ago, we didn't have jobs in fields like aerospace engineering, where people design and construct planes and spacecraft. We didn't have planes like we do today, or need spaceships, so we didn't need people to engineer them. Who knows what machines or tools or everyday objects we'll have in the year 3015. Personally, I'm hoping for underwater cities. But whatever these things are, we'll need engineers to make them. So what do you say? Who wants to be an engineer?
I pledge to make a clean, green difference in my community, school, and self. Green is not just a color, it's our creed. Making a clean, green difference is what the world needs. Bless them up and deliver.
I'm Kayla Matthews Smith.
And I'm Exis Morris. Take the CAE pledge to make a clean, green difference.
And remember, bless them
Up and deliver.